ending of the Apothecary Diaries Season 2 gives fans a soft and emotional goodbye, rather than an explosive or dramatic one. This season focused on deep emotions, slow-burn romance, personal healing, and lots of political twists. The final episode brings together all these elements in a meaningful and subtle way. While it answers many of the show's questions, it still leaves room for future growth, especially in the relationship between Maomao and Jinshi. Instead of closing every story loop with a full stop, the show gently places a comma, hinting that more is yet to come. At the center of everything, as always, is Maomao, the sharp, observant, and often emotionally guarded apothecary, and Jinshi, the elegant but mysterious noble who has always been a little too beautiful for his own good. Their connection has been simmering since Season 1, and while we still don't get a full romantic confession, we do see big changes in how they interact. The almost kiss moment between them is not just about physical closeness, it's about how far their emotional walls have come down. Maomao's comment about Jinshi's scars, that more of them would look nice, is funny, unexpected, and oddly tender. Jinshi, for once, is stripped of his usual charm and pride, just a man seeking comfort and connection. Even though they don't actually kiss, that moment hits harder than many full-blown love scenes in other anime. But just as they begin to lean in, they're interrupted. Normally, this kind of interruption would be frustrating, but here it's poetic. Their moment is put on hold not because of fear or hesitation, but because of something miraculous. The children Maomao feared were poisoned wake up. That shift from romance to relief is what the Apothecary Diaries does best. It balances emotion and mystery in a way that keeps your heart full without ever becoming too dramatic or over the top. The children, believed to be victims of a deadly poison, were actually only temporarily affected by what's called the resurrection medicine. Their survival brings a breath of fresh air to an otherwise serious and emotional finale. It reminds the audience that this show is ultimately about healing and survival, both physical and emotional. One of the most powerful resolutions comes from Aduo, the former consort, who chooses to adopt 4 of the children as her own. Her decision reflects a theme that's run throughout the series. That family is not just who you're born to, but who you choose to care for. Meanwhile, the 5th child, Q, now renamed Chao, has more permanent effects from the ordeal. He suffers memory loss and partial paralysis, yet finds a new home with Maomao's adoptive family in the Pleasure District. Even though his path ahead isn't easy, it's filled with care. And that's what makes it hopeful instead of tragic. Another emotional victory comes from Gyokyu, who gives birth to a healthy baby boy. This not only secures her place as the official empress, but also signals a major shift in the palace's balance of power. It's a big moment politically and personally, especially since her pregnancy has been such a closely watched issue throughout the season. Her triumph is more than just personal. It's symbolic of a new chapter, not just for her, but for everyone connected to the imperial court. As for Maomao, after all she's been through, she returns to the Pleasure District. It's here, surrounded by her familiar environment of herbs and medical ingredients, that she finally seems at peace. She's back where she belongs, yet clearly changed by everything she's seen and experienced in the palace. Her growth is subtle but real. She's still the Maomao we know, but now she understands more about emotions, connections, and even love. Jinshi visits her here in what becomes one of the most romantic and chaotic scenes of the whole series. The moment when he bites her neck is wild, unexpected, and deeply playful. It's romantic, but not in a traditional way. Instead, it reflects how unique their connection really is. They're awkward, a bit weird, but undeniably drawn to each other. This isn't the standard love story with a dramatic confession. It's something more complex and real. But again, just as things start to heat up, they're interrupted, this time by Chao. It's another gentle reminder that love in this world doesn't happen in grand gestures, but in stolen, everyday moments that feel all the more special because they're so rare. One of the finale's most surprising twists comes with the return of Shui, who had been thought to be dead. It turns out she survived thanks to the hairpin Maomao gave her, which stopped a bullet from killing her. Now going by the name Tamamo, she symbolizes rebirth and transformation. Her new name suggests something mystical and oceanic, a wave of change that might wash over the next season. She's proof that even those thought lost can return stronger and more determined than ever. Tamamo's survival isn't just a plot twist. It reflects one of the key themes of the Apothecary Diaries, that people are always growing, always transforming. Just as names can change, so can roles, identities, and futures. Nothing is fixed, and that's what makes this world feel so alive. There's a sense that even though the season ends, these characters will continue to grow and evolve, whether or not we're watching. The most beautiful part of this season's finale is how it doesn't try to force a clean, perfect resolution. Instead, it allows for messiness, uncertainty, and the beauty of waiting. Maomao and Jinshi don't ride off into the sunset. They sit side by side in the shadows, caught between duty and desire. Their love isn't about passionate declarations. It's about tiny, awkward, honest moments. Their relationship is still unfolding, and that's exactly why it feels so real. This season finale is a reminder that powerful endings don't need to be loud. Sometimes they're a quiet conversation, a comforting presence, or the soft exhale after a storm. In this case, it's Maomao returning home, Jinshi visiting her not as a noble but as a man, and a little boy asleep on her lap. A sign that, even in a world full of poisons, secrets, and politics, there is still space for love, healing, and peace. Season 2 of the Apothecary Diaries ends with a perfect balance of closure and anticipation. It brings emotional rewards for longtime viewers, while still leaving the door open for what comes next. Fans who followed the story since the beginning will feel satisfied, not because everything wrapped up perfectly, but because the characters are exactly where they need to be. Still flawed, still figuring things out, but heading in the right direction. The romance between Maomao and Jinshi is still a mystery, but it's no longer uncertain. It's real, it's growing, and it's beautiful in its slowness. We didn't need a kiss to know they care about each other deeply. What we got instead was even better. A promise of love that feels genuine, complicated, and full of hope. Season 3 is on the horizon, and with it comes the promise of even deeper connections, new mysteries, and continued growth for our favorite characters. Until then, fans will carry the warmth of that almost kiss, the surprise of Tamamo's return, and the quiet peace of a finale that understands life doesn't need to be loud to be powerful.